Hi, welcome to another Onwards and Upwards education video. This one is 8 Algebra 1.6 and here we're going to take a look at expanding brackets. So expanding brackets and factorising are a pair of concepts that are very closely related. The process of expanding is used to simplify algebraic expressions that contain one or more sets of brackets. Factorising, then, is basically the opposite process, using common factors and brackets in order to write an expression more simply. This video will cover the many ways you might be asked to expand brackets, including expressions with or without pronumerals, both positive and negative terms, terms that have powers, and also expressions that contain more than one set of brackets. The next video, 8 Algebra 1.7, will focus then on factorising. So let's begin with expanding some brackets that contain only numbers. When we expand brackets, we use what's called the distributive law to make sure that we attend to all the terms appropriately. You need to multiply the terms inside the brackets by the term immediately before the brackets. At no point do you calculate the sum of the terms inside the brackets. Just multiply each one individually by the preceding term. For example, in this first one here, 8 and then in brackets 4 plus 3. Alright, so we expand out those brackets firstly by writing 8 times 4 plus 8 times 3. So we've multiplied both the terms inside the brackets by 8, which was directly before them. So then 8 times 4 gives us 32, and 8 times 3 gives us 24. And then when we add those two together, we get 56. In the second example, we've got 6, and then in brackets 2 plus 5. Again, we make sure that we multiply both of the terms inside the brackets by the 6. So 6 times 2 plus 6 times 5. And then we can simplify that down to 12 plus 30, and that gives us 42. Now let's try expanding brackets that contain numbers as well as pronumerals. It might not seem all that necessary to expand brackets so carefully when you're dealing with very simple expressions like the ones we just looked at. But learning the process properly is very important for when you start dealing with more complex expressions. These ones have pronumerals as well as numbers. Let's evaluate them. So the first one, 3b plus 5. We've got 3 times b plus 3 times 5. And 3 times b gives us 3b, and then 3 times 5 is where we get our plus 15 from. In the second example, 6d plus 4, then we have 6 times d, and then we're adding 6 times 4. So simplified then, we have 6d plus 24. And in the third example, 7a plus 10, 7 times a plus 7 times 10 gives us 7a plus 70. Alright, so how about some slightly trickier ones then? So what if we've got 5 and in brackets 8f plus 3? So we multiply 5 by 8f and then add 5 times 3. So 5 times 8f gives us 40f, and then we add 15. In the second one, 4, and in brackets 2c minus 12, 4 times 2c plus 4 times minus 12. And 4 times 2c gives us 8c, and then 4 times negative 12 gives us negative 48. So we end up with 8c minus 48. In the third example, 6, and then in brackets 7 plus 6p. 6 times 7 plus 6 times 6p gives us 42 plus 36p. And then finally, 9, and in brackets 5 minus 8j, we've got 9 times 5 plus 9 times negative 8j, and we end up with 45 minus 72j. So hopefully you're getting the hang of it. And what about when there are more than 2 terms in the brackets? Because that does happen. There's no limit to the number of terms you can have inside the brackets, so you might well find that there are more than 2 in some expressions. So the rules stay the same, there's just more multiplications to do. So in this first example, we've got 5 and then in the brackets 8f plus 3 plus b. So we expand that out to 5 times 8f plus 5 times 3 plus 5 times b. And ultimately that gives us 40f plus 15 plus b. Plus 5b. In the second example, 9 and then in brackets 5 minus 8j plus 4f. We expand that out to 9 times 5 plus 9 times negative 8j plus 9 times 4f. And that then gives us 45 minus 72j plus 36f. Alright, and here's some more examples of times when there are more than two terms in the brackets. So don't forget that you're already a pro at simplifying like terms. So if you come across like terms after you've expanded the brackets, you should definitely simplify them. Then this first one, 5, 8f plus 3f plus b in the brackets. So we expand that out to 5 times 8f plus 5 times 3f plus 5 times b. And that gives us 40f plus 15f plus 5b. Now 40f and 15f are like terms, so we can simplify them further, and we end up with 55f plus 5b. In the second example, we've got 9, and then in the brackets 5 minus 8j plus 4j. We expand that out to 9 times 5 plus 9 times negative 8j plus 9 times 4j. And that gives us 45 minus 72j plus 36j. And here, 72j and 36j can be simplified further because they're like terms. So in the end, we've got 45 minus 36j. Now sometimes the terms are going to involve powers. You already know how to add, subtract and multiply terms that involve powers, so when you come across them in brackets, use the same rules that you applied before. For example, in this first one, negative 4p, and then in the brackets 3p plus 6. Alright, negative 4p times 3p plus negative 4p times 6. Negative 4p times 3p gives us negative 12p squared. And then negative 4p times 6 gives us the negative 24p. In the second example here, 5n, and then in the brackets h minus 3n. Alright, so we've got 5n times h, and then 5n times negative 3n. So, the first one ends up 5nh, alright, because obviously we just merged the two terms. And then 5n multiplied by negative 3n gives us negative 15n squared, because the n times the n ends up with n squared. Sometimes there'll be more than one term outside the brackets, and if there is more than one term outside the brackets, you only need to use the term directly before the brackets to expand them. For example, in this one, negative 3 in brackets 12f plus 7, and then another plus 14 on the end. You only use the negative 3 that was before the brackets in order to expand them out. So you've got negative 3 times 12f plus negative 3 times 7 and then plus 14 at the end. So that expands out to, that simplifies to negative 36f minus 21 plus 14. And in the end we've got negative 36f take 7. In the second example, 8 and then in the brackets 5p minus 9 and then a plus 16p on the end. So 8 times 5p plus 8 times negative 9 and then plus 16p. That simplifies to 40p minus 72 plus 16p, and then obviously we simplify it further and we end up with 56p minus 72. Sometimes you're also going to get multiple sets of brackets. And if there are multiple sets of brackets in the expression, you follow the same rules, you'll just be doing two lots of expanding. Keep the brackets together with their preceding term to expand them. So this one is 2, and in brackets 14d plus 7, and then plus 3d in brackets 4 minus 12. So we're doing two sets of expanding here. We've got the 2 times 14d plus 2 times 7. And then we're adding the 3d times 4 plus 3d times negative 12. So we get 28d plus 14 plus 12d take 36d. So obviously there's some more simplifying we can do there. And just because we've got so many terms here, I've rewritten them so that we're grouping the like terms. So I've just rewritten it, same numbers in a different order. 28d plus 12d minus 36d plus 14. And what you end up with is 4d plus 14. Now let's have a go at a word question. So let's say the playing field at your school is rectangular and it's 30 metres longer than it is wide. So here we're going to let W represent the width of the field. And firstly we'll write an expression for how long the field is. So the length is W plus 30 because it's 30 metres longer than it is wide. Now let's write an expression for how we might find the area of the field. So we know that finding the area means width multiplied by length. Alright, and in this case we know that our width is W and our length is W plus 30. So we can write that as W and then in the brackets W plus 30. When we expand that out, we've got W times W plus W times 30. And then when we simplify that, we end up with W squared plus 30W. So that's one occasion when you might have a word question that relates to expanding brackets. Nice work. Now you've practiced expanding brackets, including expressions with or without pronumerals, both positive and negative terms, terms that have powers, and also expressions that contain more than one set of brackets. In the next video, at Algebra 1.7, we cover the complementary skill to expanding brackets, which is factorising.